Awakening to be a godly man does not happen in a single moment. It is not loud, it is not dramatic. Most of the time it begins quietly in places no one else sees. It begins when a man starts asking honest questions, not about success or money or status, but about direction, about meaning, about whether the way he is living truly reflects the man he was meant to become. Many men live on autopilot. They do what is expected. They carry responsibilities. They keep moving. But deep inside there is a subtle feeling that something is missing. Not something material, something deeper. This is often the first sign of awakening. Not dissatisfaction, but awareness. A godly man is not defined by perfection. He is defined by alignment, by the quiet decision to live with integrity, even when it would be easier not to. By choosing consistency over image, by choosing growth over comfort. Faith, in its most genuine form, is not about appearances. It is about intention. It is about how a man shows up when no one is watching, how he treats people who cannot offer him anything in return, how he responds when life does not go according to plan. Awakening begins when a man realizes that strength is not found in control, but in self-mastery, not in dominance, but in discipline, not in noise, but in stillness. Stillness is where clarity grows, and clarity changes everything. As life moves forward, a man is tested in subtle ways, through pressure, through disappointment, through responsibility. These experiences are not punishments. They are invitations to mature. A godly man does not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" He gently asks, "What is this teaching me?" There is a difference. This mindset creates steadiness. It creates emotional balance. It allows a man to remain grounded even when circumstances shift. In a world that rewards reaction, a godly man learns the power of response. He listens more than he speaks. He reflects before he reacts. He understands that words carry weight, and silence often carries wisdom. This is not weakness. This is restraint, and restraint is one of the highest forms of strength. As awareness deepens, priorities begin to change. Ego slowly steps aside. Comparison loses its grip. There is less need to prove and more desire to improve. A godly man does not compete with others. He competes with yesterday's version of himself. He learns that success without peace is expensive, that ambition without values is empty, that progress without purpose feels hollow. So he builds slowly, thoughtfully, with intention. He understands that growth is not always visible. Some of the most important changes happen internally, in mindset, in patience, in perspective. This kind of growth cannot be rushed. A godly man accepts that timing matters, that forcing outcomes often creates unnecessary struggle. That trust is not passive, but calm and active at the same time. He still works hard. He still plans. He still takes responsibility. But he releases the need to control everything. This creates balance. He becomes dependable, not because he has all the answers, but because he remains steady under pressure. People trust him not for his words, but for his consistency. And this is where leadership naturally forms. Leadership is not about authority. It is about presence, about making others feel safe, heard, and respected, about setting an example without announcing it. A godly man understands that influence grows from character, not position. As time passes, compassion deepens, not a soft kind of compassion that avoids truth, but a grounded compassion that understands human struggle. He knows that everyone is carrying something unseen, so he becomes slower to judge and quicker to understand. This does not mean he tolerates everything. It means he responds wisely. Boundaries become clearer, values become stronger, decisions become simpler. Life feels less chaotic even when it is busy. This is not because problems disappear, but because perspective changes. A godly man does not escape responsibility. He embraces it without resentment. He sees responsibility as a way to serve, not as a burden. Service, in this sense, is not about self-sacrifice to the point of loss. It is about contribution with balance. He takes care of himself so he can show up fully for others. Rest becomes intentional. Work becomes meaningful. relationships become more honest. And through all of this, humility remains at the center. Humility does not mean thinking less of yourself. It means thinking clearly about who you are and who you are still becoming. A godly man allows himself to learn, to be corrected, to grow. He does not cling to old versions of himself just to protect pride. This flexibility is what keeps him aligned. Eventually, life begins to feel less like a constant struggle and more like a guided path, not perfect, not easy, but meaningful. There is trust in the process, trust in growth, trust that even challenges are shaping something useful. And this trust creates calm. Calm does not mean lack of ambition. It means ambition without anxiety. A godly man moves forward with quiet confidence, not rushed, not distracted, not lost. Awakening, in the end, is not about becoming someone else. It is about returning to what matters, to clarity, to purpose, to values that hold steady over time. This is what it means to awaken as a godly man. Not loudly, not forcefully, but steadily, thoughtfully, and with intention. And the journey continues, one conscious choice at a time. Somewhere in the middle of a man's life, reality slows him down. Not to punish him, but to get his attention. The noise fades a little and questions become clearer. He starts noticing patterns, what drains him, what strengthens him, what brings peace, and what only brings distraction. This is an important stage because it's where maturity quietly forms. A godly man begins to understand that not everything deserves his energy. Not every argument needs a response. Not every opportunity is meant to be accepted. Not every opinion deserves space in his mind. He becomes selective, not out of arrogance, but out of respect for his time and purpose. This selectiveness brings calm, and calm brings clarity. He realizes that faith is not something separate from daily life. It shows up in how he speaks, how he listens, how he handles frustration, how he keeps his word even when it's inconvenient. Faith becomes practical, grounded, lived, not performed. At this stage, a man also starts facing himself more honestly, not with harsh judgment, but with responsibility. He sees his habits clearly. He admits where he has been avoiding growth. He acknowledges the areas where comfort has replaced discipline. This awareness is not meant to shame him, it is meant to free him, because change cannot begin where honesty is missing. A godly man does not rush this process. He allows growth to happen gradually. He understands that lasting change is built through repetition, not intensity, small adjustments, consistent effort, daily intention. Over time, this creates stability. Emotionally, he becomes steadier, not emotionally closed, but emotionally regulated. He learns that feeling deeply does not mean reacting impulsively. He pauses, he breathes, he chooses. His response, this alone changes relationships, but people feel safer around him, not because he controls the room, but because he brings balance into it. His presence lowers tension rather than increasing it. This is a quiet form of leadership. He also becomes more comfortable with uncertainty. He no longer needs immediate answers to feel secure. He trusts that clarity comes with patience and action. This trust reduces anxiety. And reduced anxiety sharpens focus. A godly man begins to move with intention rather than urgency. He works steadily. He plans realistically. He accepts that progress does not need to be rushed to be meaningful. He learns the difference between being busy and being aligned. Busy is reactive. Aligned is deliberate. Alignment brings a sense of quiet confidence. Not confidence that seeks validation, but confidence that comes from inner consistency. He knows who he is. He knows what matters to him. And he is no longer easily shaken by external noise. This does not mean life becomes easy. It means life becomes clearer. Challenges still appear. Responsibilities still exist. But they are faced with composure rather than resistance. And through this process, something important happens. gratitude begins to replace frustration. Br. Not because everything is perfect, but because perspective has matured. He sees progress where he once saw pressure. Br. He sees opportunity where he once saw limitation. This shift changes how he carries himself. His walk slow. Slightly, his voice softens, his decisions strengthen, and without trying to impress anyone, he becomes someone others quietly respect. This is the middle of the journey, not the beginning, not the destination, but the place where a man stops drifting and starts walking with direction. A godly man awakens in the middle of life when he slows down and becomes aware of what truly matters. He learns to protect his energy, choose his responses wisely, and live his faith through daily actions rather than words. He becomes honest with himself, makes small consistent changes, and grows emotionally steady. Calm replaces chaos, clarity replaces confusion, and intention replaces urgency. Without trying to lead, he becomes trustworthy and grounded. This stage is where drifting ends and purposeful living quietly begins. If you found value in this, you're welcome here. Subscribe and walk this journey of growth and clarity with us.